So hey, Chantel from Tilly's Garden here. This is probably going to be a long video. I'm going to share with you and show you where my garden's at July 2024. Probably haven't done a big tour of the garden for about 15 months now. So lots changed, lots growing, and we've got a break in the rain this week. So I'm going to show you guys around. We're going to start in the back garden. Here we are next to our house here. So in our pots we have some comfrey, Queensland arrowroot. I've got galangalal just in there, and then these two pots I have some ginger root that I harvested the ginger from these three pots 2 weeks ago. I have put some ginger back in those two, but I've got the galangalal in there. And my lovely workbench where I've got all manner of seeds and things and tools, and that hasn't changed. That's still a mess. Over here, over here I have some lettuce seeds staying dry out of the rain, so you can see some down in here. So this is some cos lettuce, and I'm saving the seed. This was out in the front garden. I'm just seed saving, making up some little miniature seed packets, thanks to a lovely lady, Carol I think it is, at the Redlands garden share. She showed me how to fold paper, either newspaper or just printing paper, fold that to make a really nice safe seed packet to keep these seeds in. So it was lovely to learn that. What do we got over here? This area is, we're kind of ignoring this at the moment, only because this is going to become chicken pen next month. So this is the last time you'll see the chicken pen like this here on the YouTube channel. Of course, there'll be a few more videos on TikTok, but I'll try and film our chicken coop revamp because it's going to look very, very different. I'm also stealing some land back off the chickens, so I'm stealing this patch of dirt here so I can put some more fruit trees in. Yes, I know that's probably too close to my mango, but you know, we'll figure it out. Also, so I can plant in some undercover, like understory plants in amongst here, as I've done with there, because we're going to put some ducks in the fruit tree area so that we can get some duck eggs as well, and that's happening towards the end of the year. So I want to make sure the fruit tree area is all sorted. Don't worry though, because while we're making a land grab for the chickens, we are actually giving them some land as well, which is this lovely section of garden bed, which is only really productive for a little patch in spring and a little patch in autumn. So realistically for us, it's not the most productive spot of our garden, so it may as well become more chicken run. Also, we have our Calamondin here, which we pruned back in the start of winter, so I think May or June we pruned that back. So it was just getting way too tall, so we took like 2/3 of the canopy off. Normally you only meant to take 1/3. Actually, I probably even could have taken 3/4 of the canopy off, to be honest. More than what I prefer to do in one cutting, but it hadn't been cut back for two years or so, because I've been busy like as a mum with a toddler and some ongoing health issues thanks to that. So getting out every year and doing some garden maintenance can be a little difficult, but starting to feel better, starting to get things sorted. So I was like, yep, let's chop this down. It's still fruiting, it's still flowering. We've got lots of flowers on there at the moment, probably because we freaked it out by chopping it. But it does spring back. So Calamondin, Calamansi, bit of orange, same deal. Staghorn, and it's doing really well. So what we're going to do here is, this is a mix of asparagus, weeds and eggplant, and there is a stray pumpkin in there as well, and some parsley. The asparagus we are digging out this week, and it is getting transported bare rooted up to our mate at Hydrenheim Estates, so he can have some asparagus in his garden after his goats ate all his. And that way these crowns are now on their this will be their third year, so they'll be ready to harvest from next, like come summer, once they've settled in. Also have some bok choy or pak choy at the back there. It's going to seed. The bees absolutely love it, and I like eating the flowers as well. So I'm just letting that do its thing. I will be seed saving from that once it's finished, and then leaving that in there for the chooks to do their thing. So they're going to get let in here mid-August. I've got a turmeric in that pot that I got from the garden share, and a mix of Solanaceae family, so tomatoes and eggplant, and some sad looking capsicum that's still in the punnets that I bought them from 2-3 months ago. Also I have my pineapples there ready to go into the front garden once we deturf that and get our new citrus trees in. So that's all happening this month as well. And in here we've got some silver beet seeds that I was growing, and capsicum that's self-seeded in the garden, and I got some yacon from the garden share, so I'm just soaking that as well. And I've got some self-seeded, seed collected spring onions that I've put in there. I've also got some perpetual spinach underneath our Imperial mandarin. We've had the compost bin open, and the chickens have been coming in and out of that, which is why we've got this netting up. But it's been raining, so they haven't wanted to come out in the rain. So I'm just letting it settle. This all has to go back into number 1 compost, and then most of number 3 is pretty much ready to use to top up some of our pots and put around our fruit trees when we revamp that. And being that the chickens are getting all of this area, we've shortened our empty compost bay, so this here, so we've shortened it in by a foot. This is going to give the chooks a foot of space to be able to walk through in front of this compost bay and then get in under this area as well. So in terms of square meterage, they're probably gaining more than they're losing. So I don't feel too bad. And they're just going to be in the spaces like this space, because it's between the 2 houses. Like it's got sunlight at the moment, but as you can see, it's such a tiny gap, like from like 10 till like 12. That's our sunlight window, which is just not quite enough. As you can see, that eggplant's trying to stretch to get as much sun as it can. This Imperial mandarin will stretch up, and then hopefully its canopy will get more sunlight as it goes. But we're just going to walk into our fruit tree area now. We'll just show. I do have my worm farms over there now, under the very hastily erected tarp. Would have preferred a solid roof, but that's what we're working with currently until the chicken coop revamp, which will allow space for these to be under a roof and in a shady spot. Here in southeast Queensland, in Brisbane, we've got to protect the worms from the heat more than we do from the cold. Like, it does not get cold enough to really worry about the worms. They do slow down in winter, but not that much. But in summer, the heat can really get to them, particularly if they've got any sunlight on those black boxes or whatsoever. And the reason they got holes drilled in the front is to allow for the black soldier flies to come and go, which is why they're in the chook pen, because the black soldier flies self-harvest. They want to nestle in the ground to pupate, so they crawl up and out of the worm bins, fall on the ground, the chickens find them. I don't have to do nothing. We have a cat over there, that's Thomas. He's cute and slightly a turd. Digs up my garden. finger lime in a pot. I did up pot that. I've probably got to up pot it again this autumn. The dragon fruit is unfortunately still there. I still haven't found a place for it yet, but hopefully come the chicken coop revamp, we will find a space. The chickens probably aren't going to peck that, so it'll be safe to put in the coop. So I'm just going to figure that out as we get to it. Our apples, let's zoom out here. Our apples, this is Golden Dorsett. That's Tropical Anna. Golden Dorsett is stuck in the shade a lot of the year, so it's a bit leggy, but that's okay. We're coming into the flowering season for these apples at the moment as we head into the beginning of spring. I don't know if we had enough chill hours in our very short 2-day long winter that we had. So we'll see. Hopefully we've had enough. But the apples are doing fine. Currently no pest damage. Yeah, they're pretty much just doing their thing. We come over here. We've got more bok choy or pak choy, something that I put in here for it to go to seed, because I wanted to have a little patch that's encouraging the bees in. Preferably my native bees that I have in my hive, which is the TC bees, tetra something carbonara, I can't pronounce the scientific name, but they're a native stingless bee to Australia, known as TCs. The European honeybees though, which are our introduced honeybee and the honeybee that you're most familiar with, they do come in and take pollen as well, but hopefully there's enough left for our little bees. And this is our Beanley black mulberry. And this morning, if we can get it to focus, there we go, look, it's producing little flower buds. So it's going to be pretty lush. I will be netting it this year because last year I lost a lot to fruit fly and to the birds. I don't mind losing it to the birds. I dislike losing it to fruit fly. Very much so. And then we've got our nasturtiums, which I have to prune back because they are going crazy under everything. But they are also really good because they bring in the bees. They also act as a natural pest deterrent. They're not like completely pest deterrent, but they do help. And they also attract the cabbage moth butterfly, or cabbage moth. What it has like green caterpillars that eat your brassicas and your cabbages. But they do like this. In fact, they probably, I find them on this most of the year. And then the parasitic wasp that we have native to here finds those caterpillars and breeds in them. So I usually leave nasturtiums around all year to keep that cycle going and to act as a smell deterrent for other pests. And also the flowers are so good for the bees. Got a sweet potato bag in there. It's starting to die back after flowering. It's still got some flowers going, but it's starting to die back. So it is getting ready to harvest them. I have found with our sweet potatoes though, for us and how not frequently we do eat them, it is better for us to leave them in the soil for storage than it is to store them in our fridge. I've noticed the freshness in our fridge, it just doesn't quite keep for the month and a half that it takes us to eat them. So I leave it in there. If it's going to regrow, resprout, great. It's just going to make me more potatoes. But I just use a bandicooting method, which is to go in and just like ruffle around in the soil till you feel one, pull it up. And I've taken some slips of this. So that's taking little bits of the vine, rooting it in some water, and then placing those rooted bits of vine into a new space. I've got, so that compost that we saw earlier is going to top up this bag and also this other bag that we have in here. And I'm making a third bag, so I'm going to halve this soil into a third bag and then top both bags up with compost. And these are going to be this year's new sweet potato bags. And they will it'll all move that way come August, because these fence panels will be in line with that concrete that you see there. So that sweet potato will grow up and over the chicken pen, giving them shade in summer and also helping them feel protected as well, because chickens are like traditionally a forest dwelling bird. Think like scrub turkeys. They like being in the bush. They basically do the same role, such as turning the leaf litter in the soil, so they do like being in the bush. And by having that sweet potato covering over them, not only am I giving the sweet potato somewhere to grow, but I'm also providing the chickens with somewhere that they feel safe. So we're doing like a twofold thing there. I'm just going to move back. We also have my emperor mandarin. This has got fruit on it still. Some fruit is still ripening, other fruit is ready to pick and eat. We're probably getting 4 or 5 mandarins a day, and this is 3 years old, going into its 4th year. So it's producing really well for us. Once we've taken all the fruit off though, I will be trimming it back. Even though it's already got some flowers, I will be trimming it back and down, because like that's as tall, like this is as tall as I can reach. And the tree, like, that's got to go, because I won't be able to reach up there to take care of it and check for gall wasp and stuff. So I will be trimming it so it stays within a manageable height for me. I do the same with the do the same with the apples. So I got to do that once all the fruit's gone. We also have climbing up our tree. Let's just come in here. We have our Ceylon spinach. This is the green stemmed variety. It's currently got those little purple berries on it. So that is the seeds of the Ceylon spinach. And I'm letting them drop and self-seed in place. This will then give us a new crop next year. Letting it climb up and vine up the tree. I haven't noticed any issues with the tree because the vine isn't tight. It's not constricting the tree at all. And when it dies back, like, it's quite soft and easy to move out the way. So that's good. And when it gets to the top, it actually helps weigh down some of these vertical branches, which for me is good, because horizontal branches create fruit, or anything less than a 45-degree angle will create fruit on a fruit tree. So anything that's too upright tends to create more leaves than fruit. So having something that's going to help lay my branches down without me having to peg them, like to the ground or to the fence, or tie them off with string, anything that's going to help me do that is really handy. And of course all the nasturtiums under there, and a couple of strawberry runners. I'm going to spin around. So we're back to still that chicken coop. We've got a Washington navel, orange. Zoom out. It was not productive this year. The grasshoppers got a bit into it. They chewed off all the new growth. I fed those grasshoppers to the chickens, so well, it wasn't a win-win, it was still a win of some kind. Also, our chicken coop roof blocks a lot of sunlight from this, so the new build will rectify that, and we're going to leave the orange in for 1 more year, see if it gets productive. If it doesn't, it's getting ousted, because we're planning on putting Washington navel out in the front yard where there's much more sun. So hopefully that's going to happen. We have our pigeon pea crop over here. I've got to get in here and take off all the dry seed pods before they drop seeds onto the garden, because I want to collect the seeds to eat. I don't want to lose them to the forest floor that we have going in here. It'll be fine because they'll sprout and regrow, and I can use the pigeon pea as compost. It's a really good compost accelerator. The leaves have a lot of nitrogen, a lot of carbon in them. The leaves are also really nice for our native leaf cutter bees. They do like to come in and use some of this for their nests. So I do like to keep it growing. Underneath here, I'm just going to squat down so we can see a bit more clearly. This is pigeon pea and pigeon pea. Got some bok choy sprinkled in over there. And along the fence, that wooden railing sleeper, that's the front of the chicken's pen. Then the fence, they've got about 75 centimeters or so to run through, and they go all the way along under the bananas, which they love, which gives them then access to the grass, which they get a couple of times a week. Underneath our Lane's late navel, we have more of our strawberry crop. I'm just going to zoom back out again, it's probably easier. I've got a pear tree that is going in this area as well. I'm just not sure where. All these strawberries are just starting to flower. It is a month earlier than normal. Normally they start in August, but we've had a very mild, very quick winter. So it's not surprising that the strawberries think that it is the beginning of spring. They do make a really good understory plant, living mulch. They do tend to deter other plants from growing that are shallow rooted. They won't affect the fruit trees too much, but they do tend to kick other plants out. But that's good because planting them under the fruit trees and next to our grass means the grass doesn't try and grow in too much, and it keeps the weeds away from our fruit trees. Plus, as the strawberry leaves die back, they provide a leaf litter layer and a compost layer for the fruit trees. This is just the view from our grass area. You can just see our grey water washing, going in to irrigate the fruit trees. So all those nasturtiums climbing up, the apple, the emperor mandarin, Lane's late. Just in the chicken run there is a Valencia orange. It's not doing well, it's too shady, we've got to move that. Okay, then we come to this lovely area. We leave our grass area here just because we do have a toddler, but we also do historical reenactment, and we needed a place to set up our tent and have it dry off, particularly if it gets wet at an event. So the grass area was measured to fit our tent in it exactly, so that we could still set our tent up. And what we have at the back along the fence is we've got our Ducasse bananas and currently 2 red Daccas. The Ducasse is getting a bit out of control. I've got to go in and thin out those banana suckers and also spread one out that way more once I replant the Valencia orange out the front. Under that bag we do have a very large stash of bananas that are ripening, but something ripped the bag and is starting to eat them, so that's a shame. But oh well, we'll get up there, refix the bag, have bananas. So far you can see we've got a lot of fruit production over this side of the garden, and obviously chickens for eggs. In this fruit tree area we're going to put our ducks. So we're going to get some khaki Campbells because they have a low need for water, but they're very high in egg production. So our khaki Campbells are going there. Does mean we do have to extend the fence just because of Mr. Thomas. And also I don't really want the chickens and the ducks getting too friendly because it can create some issues. So I just want to avoid issues. But the ducks will love having under the fruit trees. They'll keep the bugs down. They'll poop under there and create like a lovely fertilizer, the same way that the chickens do that for the grass. The chickens also have like this little area over here that they get to utilize, but at the moment, because it has been cold and wet, we do have a little bit of grass dieback, and chickens love digging in dirt, so I don't really want them in here because they're going to dig up that grass. So I've got to let that grow back first. Now we come to this. We're still in the backyard, 24 minutes in. We've got our back corner garden. So this area has mostly annual vegetables as well as our pecan or pecan. So we have 2 pecan trees that we pruned back this year. We pruned it to here. It was like this tall, and we've taken just under 2 meters off it, or whatever length that is what we took off. We did that while it was dormant, That way, when it reshoots late July, August, we'll have a nice low tree that we can manage, and it's not gonna go too crazy. Oh, I just saw a bean that I missed this morning when harvesting. In here as well, along this fence, normally we have the gate up to stop the cats and the chooks getting in. We have a grapevine here. This is its last year to prove itself to me. It's been in the ground for 4 years, hasn't fruited, has produced a lot of leaves though, which is good for shade. So this year is to work out whether I keep it for fruit or if I replace it with a different grape variety that's more likely to fruit. But I do like how we can put like a canopy up between here and then the grass is in dappled sunlight. I do really enjoy that from the grape. We've got our Ceylon spinach. This is a red stem and it's just self-seeding and growing up over our fence. So this is most of our vegetable production at the moment. We have bok choys, we have endive, parsleys, we've got the beans. I put in 5 or 6 bean seeds and they all grew and have produced these bean vines that have been productive for, I think we're going on to our 4th month that these bean vines have been producing a handful of beans every day, which is plenty for 2 adults and a child who doesn't like beans. Yes, Thomas, he's seen a bird. We also have along the edge is some Eureka onions. They're these little, they're better over here. So these are a Japanese onion similar to a garlic clove. I haven't eaten any yet, but I only transplanted these in summer. So I'll hopefully be eating them this summer coming as a substitute for onions, because onions are hard to grow here in our section of southeast Queensland. So yeah, parsley there, and then up here is where I have my asparagus that needs to go to our mate, and also our mushroom logs. So I did these mushroom logs up in March when we pruned back the mango tree, and so far the phoenix oyster or summer chocolate oyster has been producing a whole 15 months ahead of schedule, because normally it takes 18 months for these to get productive. We're just going to have to see how it goes over our summer. I've got shiitake, lion's mane, and then those 4 logs of oyster mushrooms. It's just going to be a wait and see. I did it as an experiment, see how it goes. The fact that I've already got some oysters is amazing. So this bed here is parsley, nasturtiums, there is some carrots, and it's also got a cabbage. And along this edge we've got spring onions. They did all just recently get a chop back, which is why they are so short. And then we come to this bed where we've got one of our compost bins. We have a mix of potatoes, nasturtiums, dill and borage in this bed. And I think I've got 3 different potatoes. I've got Sebago, Red Pontiac and Desiree, I think, is in this bed. And they're all doing well. Quite a few of them have flowered, so that's telling me that we've got tuber production. And I'm just waiting for the top of the potato to die back so that I can dig them up and see how much we produced this time around. I'll be able to get 1 more planting of potatoes in. They're going to go in this bed come spring before it gets too hot. There's a little bee enjoying those nasturtiums. And then this is another type of potato, can't remember, but it's in there. We also have some cauliflowers, dill, bunching onions and nasturtiums, and some garlic along the front. Now the garlic was just like the smallest cloves out of the garlic, because I planted all my biggest cloves out the front, and these were just here as companion plants and to help with pest deterrent as well. They're going to stay small. They're probably not going to bulb. I'm not using them for food. I'm just using them as companion plants. The bunching onions, of course, I'm using for food. We're harvesting them like 1 or 2 a week at the moment. The cauliflower, we're just waiting on that to head up. The dill I'm able to pick from daily. And then we've got a yellow raspberry in that pot that I've just potted up. Bin long taro. And then I have my Japanese taro, which I've just separated, and we have it in 2 extra pots this year, plus the original pot that it was in. So that was doing well. I've made up a bunch of taro milk pastes that I have stored in ice cubes so that I can have some lovely homegrown taro milk. And you know what, it's good for you because it's technically a vegetable. And then this bed we've got our zucchini, lettuce, we had some snap peas growing, and we've got more garlic and spring onions and pak choi, plus some nasturtium. So this bed's been quite productive. We are able to harvest the pak choi every other day, and what we do is we come along, we find the biggest outside leaves, which is going to be this one here. We break it off at the base and leaving the rest of the plant in the ground to make more leaves. And we take that inside to do our stir fries or saute it in butter with some mushrooms. Makes it quite nice. So that's been quite productive for us as well. We're using bok choy in place of spinach at the moment, just because we don't have the temperatures to grow spinach. That is the backyard productivity done, apart from where we are drying our leaves from our tree cuttings, and the past that I have in the pots that has to go in the ground. So we use our concrete area to process our mulch and wood chips and things that we can use in the garden and utilize in the garden, so we're not buying anything in. This is that Calamondin that we trimmed back. As you can see, we trimmed a lot of that tree. Could have even been like 4/5. So we're leaving the leaves to fall off, and we'll collect them, we'll mulch up the sticks, and those sticks will get put on either the fruit trees or the back garden or the front garden in our pathways. And that's going to provide us with nice defined piles in the garden, nice carbon to break down. It's going to feed the fungi network. We know we haven't sprayed any pesticides or herbicides in it, so we know we're not introducing any foreign elements into our garden. Same with this. This is for our zero cost garden project that we're doing in next door's garden. I've just got to collect the last lot of leaves, and we've just got to mulch down all these sticks plus the bigger branches. And this is just our bags of product. So as you can see, we've got wood chips. Oh, lovely, they're going moldy. I'll have to give them a shake and put them out soon. I've got some banana leaves as well that we're using as mulch. So that is our backyard productive area. I'm gonna walk down the front now. One thing I love about gardening is we've noticed that we can produce $80 to $100 savings just on fresh produce most weeks of the year. And then when we have spare garden produce at the moment, we're easily producing over $200 equivalent of Coles and Woolies. You know, if we were to buy from them, we're producing the equivalent of that. Just showing my jaboticaba that still hasn't produced fruit yet, but it will. And we've got our avocado. It's pushing out flowers at the moment. We got 3 avocados off it. The possum got maybe 100. So, you know, we didn't quite win at that, but that was fine. I have 3 vanilla beans that are growing in here. They're 3 years old, so in another 2 years I should, there's one there as well and one here. So in 2 more years I'll have enough, like there should be flowers coming from these vanilla beans, and I'll be able to make my own vanilla, which would be lovely to add into the baking considering vanilla is so expensive. We're out the front now. this side's next door. That's where we're doing our zero cost garden. And this is our lovely pathway that we both access in and out of the garden. We spend quite a few afternoons chatting, which is really nice. There's the view of that avocado there. So in here I got my pineapples, I've got male lemon, has some fruit on it, some lavender just for it being pretty and that nice lavender smell. The secondary male lemon, which is a year older than that one, and it's producing really well. It's also popping out a ton of flowers right now. We have some rocket, which we've been harvesting from for our salads. Got our Eureka lemon that we pruned back quite heavily, but it's still got fruit on it. It has fruit on it all year, every year. It just hasn't stopped producing since it was like 1 year old. We have lots of lemons in there that was in a pot for about 8 years, and is now finally in the ground. And then we have some tatsoi. We use this in stir fries. We've got nasturtiums that are intergrowing. We have our silver beet. We've got multiple colours of silver beet just because I like the colour variation to look at. More tatsoi popping up. A very struggling lavender. It didn't like all the rain. We also have some of our larger tomatoes that we're growing over winter, just because in summer it's too hard to keep the fruit flies off them. So we're growing them in the cooler months. But it is definitely 100% warm enough to grow tomatoes through winter where we are in southeast Queensland. More silver beet. Just going to pan over to this garden, which is underneath our very big elderberry tree, which we're still yet to prune. It's given us so much. It does so well. I've got fennel and I have some cosmos. I did have cosmos in here. I think it's kind of died off, but that's okay. I'll replant it. But yeah, fennel in there as well that I use for cooking. We've got rosemary, more lavender, another rosemary, and a native Australian raspberry that's in a pot. That's just coming into flower now, so it'll produce for between now and the end of October, and it will just keep pumping out fruit for us as long as we keep remembering to water it. And I keep it in a pot because it does try and take over everything. It spreads via its root network, and even the tiniest bit of root will still produce more raspberry, and it's got thorns. I don't want it spreading in my garden. More of that, another type of tomato, aroma tomato, and I've got an Amish paste tomato. We've got some more spring onions, got pansies for colour, and this is our bok choy here. Once again, we're picking off the biggest leaves on the outside, some more rocket. Our muscadine grape, that got planted in this winter, so it's going to take off this spring, which will be lovely. We've got chives and thyme along the edges here, and this is our blueberries, which are flowering at the moment and producing fruit, which is so fabulous. We've been harvesting late winter, early spring harvest from these, and they're still pumping out flowers, so they're still going to be producing into spring. In this garden, this level is a lot of lettuce that went to seed. This is where we're harvesting a washing basket of lettuce, like a large washing basket of lettuce leaves, every second day. And we're giving them to Meals on Wheels and local mums who need some salads. We harvest the outside leaves. So if we're going to harvest from this lettuce, we'd harvest from down here, and we'd leave the smaller leaves up top to keep growing, and that gives us even more harvest to continue with. I'm not going to continue down there because I don't want to fall over and trip while on camera. So we come down to our front. We have more beans growing in here. Hopefully these beans will grow up over our archway. So just show that. So we got that. That'll provide some shade for summer, and it will be lovely. So they're going to grow up over that. Some more thyme. Here we've got multiplier leeks, obviously the lettuce patch, our snap peas that I'm just leaving the pods to finish drying out, which is these here, nice and fat, just waiting for them to dry out so I can collect the seed and replant. Got lots of lettuce scattered around everywhere, but this is mostly our bee garden. So these are all native bee attracting flowers. It's right in the middle, so that way the bees have to come through everything else to get to it, which means they'll get distracted by other stuff and hopefully pollinate. The European bees really love this as well, so it's a win-win. Got some lettuce flowers here going on, which means I'll collect some more seeds from them. We've got our bird bath that our noisy miners, we've noticed, have started using, as well as some kookaburras. And I've still got multiplier leeks all along this edge, acting as a border plant. Then our little pathway here. Don't worry guys, we're 40 minutes in. If you're still here, we're like almost done. Thanks for watching for this long. We got cherry tomatoes that have gone a bit crazy. This is where our compost bin was, and I think every single cherry tomato seed that we ever chucked in there has sprouted. We're just leaving them go, and we're just going to harvest as we see from these guys, use them in tomato chutneys, sauces. We're also probably going to have to give a lot away because we won't be able to eat the sheer amount of cherry tomatoes that this will produce. This is where we had our potatoes growing from autumn. We planted 1 kilo of potatoes and we got 3.5 kilos harvest because they got wet. We got some self-seeded coriander as well. We don't really eat coriander, but I do love it for the flowers. Our little native Australian bees really love these little flowers here. They're so cute. And the hoverflies and a few other predatory insects as well, they really enjoy nesting in and around coriander, so it provides that habitat for those beneficial bugs. I also have the multiplier leek in this garden edge as well, and we'll be harvesting and eating that this year, so we'll have lots of leeks to eat. Oh yeah, also up on that top tier we've got some yarrow in the corner that makes a really good compost activator, and as you can see, that like huge I don't know, forest of tomatoes. We have another compost bin, also the other compost bin up there that we top up. We've got lettuce in this garden bed. We've got some self-seeded capsicum. We have asparagus as well that's self-seeded. And this is the garlic that we purchased and have planted. There is a remarkable difference between the landscape bought compost and the garlic that's growing in our homemade compost. So the landscaper supplied compost just hasn't quite had the same success rate, and like the thickness of stem plus the amount of leaves, the green, as what our own homemade compost did for the same types of garlic. So definitely have to plant it in my own compost next year. I've got more lettuce, I've got capsicums, that one's ready to pick. Look at that. Red on one side, green on the other, that's okay, it'll ripen up more inside. So we've got all of that garlic to look forward to. And then in this front garden bed we had the asparagus. It's been pruned back to allow light into our strawberries. But the asparagus has already started to shoot, so I'm going to go along and harvest most of these spears today. Rule is, if it's as thick as your thumb, or thicker than your pinky finger to as thick as your thumb, pick it. So like this one, get the focus, this one's gonna be ready to pick. This one we have to leave because it's so skinny. We don't want to take too much from the plant, so that one's going to be left to create the ferny foliage of the asparagus. This one's going to get used in dinner. As you can see, we've got strawberries growing out here as well that we've been harvesting, more nasturtiums, more lettuce, more parsley. So this is how productive our garden is at the end of winter. We've done really well. We're able to supplement at least 60% of our fresh produce, mostly because I still like eating carrots and I got to get them from the shop, and I still like eating like bulbing onions and I got to get them from the shop. But pretty much most of the other fresh produce we're getting out of the garden at the moment, which I think is fabulous. And we're only on a 600 metre block. Obviously we've got the house that takes up a portion, the driveway that takes up a portion, that back concrete area, plus the grass. And you can see just how much we are producing in our small space. What's going to be the real cool experiment though is in our neighbour's property. This is where we're doing our zero cost garden bed, and it's currently got its green manure crop on it at the moment. This is going to be turned, chopped and dropped, and acting as a nitrogen booster for the soil in this garden, which is quite depleted. And come August, late August, early September, we're going to be planting in it and seeing how much food we can produce from this square, like this space here, which I think is 3.5 square meters of growing space. And we're going to see how much we can produce. We haven't, other than buying a compost bin and buying a couple of, I bought chook food ages ago, and I've donated some of the seeds over to here and also to a few other people as green manure. Other than spending money on a compost bin, we haven't actually spent anything on this garden yet, so it's still pretty much zero cost, which is awesome. So I can't wait to see what that produces. Also can't wait to see how much more productive I can get this garden come spring. And now that I am feeling a lot healthier and getting some of the health issues under control, and also having a toddler who allows me to be more than 5 centimeters away from them, is fantastic. It's amazing what you can get done when you not have a limpet attached to you. So that is all of our productive food garden. Sorry that it was quite a long video. There was a lot of stuff that I wanted to share and show people, just particularly with like how much they can fit in a small space, what it's going to look like, how productive that space can be. I really believe that anyone who's struggling with cost of living at the moment, if you have some dirt somewhere, if you are renting and you can only plant things in pots, if you're in an apartment and all you have is a little balcony that you can fit some pots on, it is quite easy to grow something. You just got to have some people to ask the right questions, people to ask questions to that can help you out. So I'm a part of 7 or 8 gardening groups where we all help each other out. I ask questions, I answer questions. Everyone's helping each other out. A lot of my seeds and stuff that I have now, and my seedlings that I have now, I've got from garden swaps and shares. I've kept being able to be taught how to collect my own seeds and regrow from my own seeds. It's amazing what you can learn. I learned how to make cheese the other day. I wasn't good at it, but I learned, and it was edible. Not the best, but it was edible. And then I in turn taught how to make passion fruit cordial. So we're all sharing and growing, and even if you don't have much space, there could be community gardens where you can have a little bit of space to yourself or share in the space with others to learn. They're also fantastic places to find experienced garden gurus that you can learn from until you get your own space. But I definitely think being able to grow your own food, supplement that money. When I did a spreadsheet up the other day just to see how much my garden was producing, not so much how much we were eating, but what we were producing, and I was amazed that just mostly because we're getting a ton of lettuce. But we were producing over $300 a week for June just in garden produce. And I'm out in the garden for 3 to 6 hours a week, depending how much watering it needs, because I don't have an irrigation system. But on average, I'm averaging around 3 to 3.5 hours a week on garden maintenance and planting and harvesting. The other 3+ hours is mostly watering. That figure will get skewed because it's going to take us a week to build the chicken coop. But, you know, like, I think everyone's got like a couple of hours spare a week that they could get out in the garden. Also, it is so good for your mental health, like being outside. Like, studies have shown that, like, just having contact, like skin contact with the earth, like with dirt and those microbes in the soil, can actually improve your mental health. Like, even just smelling some nice, rich, like, soil, like, that's in here. Like, even just standing in my fruit tree area, the air's fresher. I've got that lovely forest floor smell that's coming through, and it's just a really relaxing place. Also, these fruit trees in summer are providing me shade. They're cooling down my backyard. I don't have to use my aircon as much. Like, you know, I'm saving money in electricity as well. So there's so much benefit to being able to grow anything of your own. Like, even if it's just like one pot like this, and you've got a couple of lettuce plants in it and a tomato plant. Like, that's half of a salad. While it's not a big amount, it is something. And, you know, it's like $10 worth. Like, you know, like, you could be saving yourself $10 a week. Like, what could you use that $10 for? What could you, you know, buy for your kids or buy for yourself? You could go to like a movie rather than sit home and watch Netflix. So you could go pay for a movie at a really cheap cinema. You know, you could buy, you know, some chocolate or something for yourself that's nice by just supplementing some of that food that you can grow yourself. Yes, you would have to fill the pot and buy potting mix, but you can equal out that cost after a season, and then everything you're producing is pretty much free. And it's, you know, just the benefits from that. Fresh food, eating food within 30 minutes after picking it, it still has active enzymes that are going to assist in digestion. It's going to assist in nutrient absorption. Like, just eating fresh food that hasn't had to sit out for 2-3 hours is incredible for your gut. And we're finding now in all these studies that our gut microbes and all that, like, they're really beneficial for mental health and physical health. So, you know, by taking care of that, by growing something fresh, even if it's just for one salad a week, like, that's so much more benefit than what you're getting if you don't do it. And it doesn't take long at all. So I'm hoping that I can inspire people to grow their own. If you don't have a garden that's as big as mine, or if you've got a bigger garden, which would be amazing. I'm so jealous of people with bigger gardens. Like, I just want acreage. But I'm really lucky because next door's letting me use their whole backyard and their front yard. And I'm going to have so much fun turning all of that space into productive garden as well. And yes, they have ducks, which is why I'm getting some ducks, because I want some ducks too. So yeah, it's just going to be amazing to have that extra space to grow, like, double my produce. I could probably even like triple the amount of produce in that space as well. So hopefully, if you watch our zero cost garden series, the beginning ones, they're very boring because it's all the setup. There's nothing much too exciting happening in them because it is just the setup. But hopefully, we're able to take you through step by step a process that you could do in your own garden with your own patch of dirt, particularly if you don't have the money to outlay on, you know, all the fandangled things. Because guess what? All you need to grow food is some dirt and some compost and some seeds. Like, stuff's gonna grow. You don't need fancy garden beds or anything. Yes, they look pretty. They're really handy if you can't bend down to soil level. But, you know, as long as you've got dirt or even pots, you can grow food. But I really appreciate everyone watching my videos. The more that the videos get watched or commented on or liked or shared, it just helps other people see them. And I'm, you know, even if I can encourage like 1 or 2 people to start growing their own, I think I've done a good job. Any questions that you guys have, like anyone's got any questions about gardening or how they can start a garden, feel free to put in the comments. Most of my knowledge is Brisbane based because this is the climate I've lived in all my life. I'm not quite sure about other climate areas, but I can help direct you to those people who do know about those areas. Like a mate of mine's up the sunny coast, another mate of mine is in Sydney, I've got a mate in Melbourne, and I've got a mate in Perth, all who have their own gardening channels, who can help take you through stuff for those climates. But hopefully this has inspired you. I know it's a long video, like an hour long, and I do love to talk, but I just wanted to show off all my garden to everyone in just one big video. So there's a lovely last view of my 4 chooks having a scratch around under my bananas. But I hope everyone has a lovely day, and yeah, I just hope that I could help and inspire you to start your own garden. Thank you so much for watching.